Good day, YouTubers. Uncle Dave with DEECEE's Adventures, and I'm coming to you with a video from my hunting camp in Maine. It's fall, and I figured it's a great time of the year for me to do this video about sleeping bag theory and how to pick the right sleeping bag for the kind of trip that you're planning on taking. I've got the 3 sleeping bags that I own here, and I'm just going to go through pretty much why I own them, what features I like about the sleeping bags, and what the difference is between the sleeping bags. And at the end of this video, I'll also give my recommendation for the very best sleeping bag available on the market. So just sit back. I'm going to get out of the shot here, and I'm going to set you up in a spot where you can take a closer look at the materials and what the sleeping bags themselves look like. Alright, here we are. I'm trying to just get my mind together here and figure out exactly how I want to approach this and start this whole thing. But I mean, these 3 sleeping bags are for 3 different things, and I also use them together and stuff, so I'm going to get to that. But I guess before we start all together, I got to talk about the 2 materials. Basically, the 2 materials that you're looking at here are down filling, which is feathers from a bird, or a synthetic filling, which is some sort of plastic that's been stretched out really thin and then woven together into like mats, you know, of stuffing, pretty much. Like basically what you would see in a child's toy, but way high tech, where they've woven it and layered it in certain ways where it has really great loft, and that's the word, loft. Loft is the word that you're going to hear when people are talking about warmth in a sleeping bag. Because what the loft is how puffy it is, how thick it is, and how much it rises off of your body. The loft is the space that fills in with warm air. Excuse me. So you're looking for the best loft for the least amount of weight. And in some situations, you're going to be dealing with weather, so you've got to consider that. So we'll talk about, I guess we'll talk about the synthetic first, because it's pretty quick. Synthetic, like I said, is just a woven plastic material. These 2 bags are synthetic, and the reason why you might have synthetic bags is because the down sleeping bags don't deal with humidity well. And we'll talk about that more when I start talking about the down bags. But these synthetic bags are better for humid areas. Like if you're going to be getting down to temperatures that are like 30 degrees, 20 degrees, but it's still a really humid, wet area, you're getting rain and stuff. Maybe you're in the North Midwest, or you're in the north, the northern western parts of the country where it's raining a lot. Or maybe you're in rainforest that's still getting cold, you know. Argentina rainforest, that place I think gets pretty cold, and still is wet constantly. That's when you're going to want synthetic materials, because synthetic materials, when it gets wet, I mean, sleeping bags aren't warm when they're wet. People say, oh, you got synthetic, so you can, if it's wet, you can still use it. And that's true. You can still use it. It will still keep body heat. The main thing is it keeps its loft. Synthetic doesn't have a really crazy loft to begin with, but when it gets wet, it doesn't clump up at all. Like the down, when it gets wet, it'll clump up and leave giant gaps where the cold air can come through. So a synthetic bag, when it gets wet too, they dry pretty easily. I mean, it's made out of a polyester like plastic material, so they dry really easily. I guess there's a bunch of different companies, different stuff. This has Prima Loft, I think is what it's called, in it. And this bag I actually bought back in 2006. This is my North Face snowshoe bag. 0 degrees Fahrenheit and -18 Celsius is what this is rated for. It's a great bag. And in Maine here, you basically have to use a bag that's synthetic until at least November. And then when November comes, the dry air moves in, you get snow, and that's when you'll switch to your down bag. Because anytime before that, I mean, I've been in my this is my REI Expedition -20 bag, and I've been in this bag when it was only 40 degrees and I should have been sweating in it, but instead all the stuff clumped up just from humidity. It didn't actually get wet or rained on, just the humidity made the down clump up, which made the bag useless. It didn't work at all. So yeah, synthetic bags are for humid areas. There's lots of different stuff. If you want to know more information about the different weaves and the different kind of insulation that's available, because I mean, every 2 or 3 years there's a different kind of insulation they're putting in these synthetic bags. You can just look up to see what they have. This stuff worked good though. This Primaloft bag is nice, but like I said, this is a 0 degree bag. Something I should have mentioned at the beginning. People always look at the ratings on these bags and they go, oh man, I got in that bag and I couldn't get to 0 degrees, I was freezing. Well, the ratings on the bag is really your survivable rating. Like this 0 degree bag, when it was brand new, I could go down to 0 degrees with it, but I would have been freezing. I would have just barely survived the night. It wouldn't have been fun. And even at for a cold sleeper, I would say 20 degrees, you're going to get really cold in this bag when it's brand new, and I'm a really cold sleeper. I'd say at 25 degrees, this bag is cold for me. Really cold for me, where I have to get up and do something about it, or cover myself over with a jacket too. But we'll talk about that. This is a Kathmandu synthetic insulated Wayfarer, regular size. This sleeping bag I actually got from some foreign traveler. I was working at a hostel, and when some guy left it at the hostel, and when stuff is at Lost and Found for more than a year, you're allowed to take it. So this is one of the things I got to pick out of the Lost and Found that year. And it's really been a great bag. It's been one of my favorite bags, but it's so thin that, I mean, unless you're sleeping in the desert on a warm night, it's not going to be warm enough by itself. But a feature that I like that it has is the zipper zips all the way down, and there's a zipper on the box so you can unfold it into a blanket. And for guys and girls who are in the military, they might know the whoopee blanket there. This, or the poncho liner, this is a lot like the poncho liner for me. You could get the same uses out of the poncho liner that I get out of this, because this synthetic bag is a bag that's small enough I can carry it on day trips just to have with me. It's small enough that I can use it for a lot of things, but what I really use it for now is I carry it with other bags. Especially when you're working with synthetic bags, there's nothing better than having 2 bags together. Even if it was 2 bags like this, thin bags together, they're going to be really crazy warmer than a bag that's maybe like this. But if I have this bag, my North Face snowshoe, all zipped up and on me, and I cover it with this thing, with my Wayfarer, I can get down past 0 degrees with my bag and be comfortable. So you sometimes just, and it's about having the other layer. You can't really put like a fleece blanket inside your sleeping bag and get the same effect. You need another layer because it creates that loft. It creates a shell of loft, and it breaks any wind that's coming in and any coldness before your sleeping bag. So your sleeping bag doesn't have to work so hard. Your body doesn't have to work so hard to keep your real sleeping bag warm, because you have the shell over your sleeping bag that's a second barrier of loft, and you have a space in between the 2 sleeping bags that's gonna have a warm air station there, which is why I always recommend having 2 bags. You're better off having 2 light bags together than having 1 heavy bag. And even the new systems the military is using now are those it's a 3-bag system. One's a waterproofing bag, one's a light patrol bag, and then one's an Arctic bag, like this, synthetic. They're all synthetic. And they can go down to -50 is what they're rated for, and -30 you're really comfortable in that thing. And most of the comfort and the warmth comes from having 2 bags in that system. That's what really gets you down in temperature. So that's the synthetic bags. In rainforest, you're going to use a synthetic bag. Even here in Maine, all the way until the end of fall, it rains every single day and it's super humid, so you have to use a synthetic bag because the down will do nothing. But okay, let's say it is December. End of December, we're going on a hike. It's going to be in Maine and New Hampshire in the mountains, White Mountains. What do I take for a sleeping bag? Okay, this is the kind of sleeping bag you need for that kind of trip. The air is going to be dry. It's going to be less than 10% humidity. It's going to be between 10 degrees and -10 degrees. This sleeping bag at -10 degrees, I've been pretty warm at. I would say I could definitely sleep through the nights with no problem. At -20, I'm freezing and have to get up. But with my Wayfarer, my blue bag, which I carry with every one of my bags, I can put this over this, and then this expedition bag I can actually get to -30, super comfortable, even probably a little further than that. But -30, no problem with this sleeping bag over this. But let's talk about down. Now that we have, this is an REI -20 expedition bag. It weighs 4 pounds 2 ounces. I'll show you what all of these look like in the bags that they came in, the compression sacks that they came in afterwards. But it has some hangers here. One of the features that is awesome here is it has this zipper thing, and that's so if you have to get stuff, you can put your arm out. It connects inside here. There's 2 zippers. There's a zipper inside, and that's so you don't have to let cold air into your sleeping bag when you're at like -10 degrees, you know, so you can reach out and get whatever. I mean, I don't know what you'd be getting. Your water bottle should be in there with you. But this also has a double zipper. Instead of having a tube in it like a lot of these bags do, it has a double zipper, and I found that this actually does work better than a tube. I think this bag is okay. It's not the top of the line, but it was I got it for just under $400. They were originally $500, and I got it on clearance, but it's because REI was just upgrading the bag. And I'll talk about the upgrades in a second. But this is cool. Has a super deep hood, which I like. That's one of the things I like about it the most, in the collar. And this has only been sitting out for like 20 minutes, so it's still really flat. This thing will get really puffy, but it takes a couple hours. It takes a couple hours, but it gets really puffy, this thing. It's been compressed, though, for like 3 or 4 months. But you're not supposed to keep it compressed. All of these bags come with a storage bag, because you don't want to keep it compressed any longer than it has to be, because then it takes a long time for it to uncompress. Something to think about. Now, let's talk about down and what all these numbers mean on down. So this bag right here, the bottom is actually stuffed with 750 down, and then the top is stuffed with 800 down. Okay, what is the difference between the 2 downs? Well, 750 means that it's a fairly large feather from the bird, and 850 means it's a little bit smaller, finer, and then at 900 is the finest I believe you can get, and those are really small, fluffy, really nice feathers, which adds more loft. The thing is, too, and the reason why this doesn't have 900 in it is because 900 in humidity clumps up even faster than the 750 does. So a lot of the sleeping bags that you'll see in commercial market will be stuffed with 700 and 750. And it will also, nowadays, just in the last couple years, and the reason why this was on clearance is because nowadays they take the feathers and they put a coating, a waterproof on the feathers that makes it so the feather can't absorb moisture easily. And that's why now this bag is $600 at REI, but it has the treatment on the feathers. and there's a couple more features that they fixed on here. So I think it's still a great bag. The REI Expedition -20 that they have right now, I don't know what they're calling it right now, but with the features that's on it are pretty great. But they also went to 750 on the whole thing. All the down is 750 in that, which I don't think is fine enough to really get down to really Arctic temperatures. I think you should be at 800 to 850. I think 850. There's a company called Feathered Friends out of Seattle, and they make custom bags. They do make the best sleeping bag available right now, and they were one of the first people that I had ever seen the coating on an 850. They have 850 down with a nice coating. They don't make your sleeping bag until you order it, and their -20 is like 3 pounds, like 3 pounds 13, 14 ounces or something, but it costs $900. So you're paying for it. But Feathered Friends expedition bags are the best, and some of Feathered Friends fabrics, like this is just a regular polyester of some sort, or maybe it is even some sort of light nylon. I don't really know what it is, this one, but it the Feathered Friends have some nano fabrics, which nano fabrics you could put like ketchup right on your sleeping bag and then just flick it like this and all of it comes off, because the fabric is so small, it's nano, so any fluid, when you put water on it, it just naturally forms into a circle and rolls off. So that's something to look at, and that's why I do consider Feathered Friends the best sleeping bag maker in the world right now. But they make down bags. They don't make synthetic bags, and you cannot use a down bag in some environment. That is definitely, you cannot. So you have to consider that, where you're going to be and what the situation is going to be. So now you guys know a little bit about down and the different kind of fabrics. So when you're getting down, I mean, if you're buying a really nice down jacket and it has a Gore-Tex shell on it, you're going to want to get 850. 850 down is the best to really go with, or 950 if you're going to get like a really puffy, crazy, awesome Arctic jacket. But I think 950 is too much risk, because when it gets humid, it clumps up way too quick. But there are my 3 sleeping bags. This video is probably super long now, and I think I kind of explained the situation as well as I can, and why I have these sleeping bags is I live in Maine, so the temperatures get down to about -10, -20 at some points in the winter, but then all summer long it is 40 degrees on rainy days, 60 degrees, 75 degrees on sunny days, and then we have like 2 or 3 weeks of 90 degrees, but it's humid the whole time that it's not snowing. Anytime it's not snowing, it's high humidity here. So you have to have synthetic bags. The downs just don't work until winter comes in. Oh, and all these ratings, every single bag that has a rating on it, the rating also is set according to you having the right padding under you. And I use these Thermarest. I use this Thermarest even on the snow, but if I was going to be in -30 degrees, if I was going to do anything under 0 degrees, I would add a blow-up insulation on top of the Thermarest closed cell pad. But this Thermarest closed cell pad with these sleeping bags works pretty good. It doesn't give you much for comfort, but it does keep you from the cold of the ground, because all the ratings you see on the sleeping bags are set with the intention of you using a pad of some sort. It's not for you to sleep straight on the ground, because you're going to lose at least 10 to 15 degrees or more being straight on the ground as well. You have to have a pad of some sort. Yeah, well, let's go and take a look at the video of what these things all look like in their original compression sacks. Alright, so this is what they all look like in the original bags that they came in, the synthetic bags they came in. This is what the Kathmandu Wayfarer look like. Of course, the stitching has come out here because I've carried this like I said, a lot. This is it's a great, more like a blanket than it is a sleeping bag. But here's the North Face snowshoe, 0 degree Fahrenheit, negative 18 Celsius. You see the difference here? So that's the 3 pounds 11 ounces, and this one weighs just under 2 pounds. But I usually don't use this bag either. I usually use a compression sack, which you can get it a lot. You can get it a lot smaller. See, it's pretty small. And then here's my negative 20 degree REI Expedition bag, and this is the original bag. But since this is the down bag, you can get it pretty small, and I'm gonna get one of those waterproof, the breathable waterproof compression sacks. That's what I'm gonna end up going with for this one, because it's the down. You really just want to keep it as dry as possible. So there's a look at them all in their bags, and there's a comparison. There's my sil nylon tarp. So basically, the sil nylon tarp in any one of these bags can be your setup. Again, as long as you have your padding system worked out. And the cot underneath here right now for this video is the Teton XXL, but we'll talk about that when we do a cot video. Alright, so also again with this bag, like I carry this bag everywhere. It's always good to have a small bag like this. Even if you get a synthetic bag that's only a pound, you can get really small compressed synthetic bags for that only weigh a pound. They're like traveler's bags, but they're not really good enough to do camping with. They're just for like, yeah, crashing on friends' couches and stuff. They're really small like this. It's good to have a synthetic bag with you like that, so you can put over your down bag, because if you have dew or any kind of moisture that is coming into the camp in the mornings, it will be absorbed, or it'll land on the synthetic layer first, and then I take the synthetic bag off every morning and let it dry separately, and then have this bag all fine. You have to protect the down. If you're using the down, you have to protect it, because it will not work at all if it gets wet. I also pack the down in a waterproof bag always. So if you go into the drink, your down is not going to be ruined when you go to sleep that night. So as always, thanks for joining me on another video. This one's a long one. I hope you guys kind of get your head around everything I'm talking about here, and it helps somebody out there with picking the right sleeping bag, so you guys don't get caught with cold feet and cold legs. It depends on your circulation. That's why some people are considered cold sleepers and some are considered warm sleepers, because some people have good circulation that's fast, and some people have slow circulation. That's what makes your legs cold and your thighs cold in the middle of the night or in the morning. It usually happens at like 3 in the morning to me. But when I have that second layer bag on, I haven't been in temperatures yet cold enough to make me cold. And I used to be cold all the time, and I hate being cold. It's the worst thing, is being cold on a trip. It really is one of the things that really ruins a trip for me. So, yeah, make sure you rate, comment, and subscribe so you get all the latest uploads. Uncle Dave with DEECEE's Adventures, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Alright, I'm sitting at the desktop here in town, and when I was out in the woods filming this, I forgot to mention a couple things I really wanted to talk about. Sorry if it's shaky here. This is the double tube system. It's just double zipper. It doesn't actually have a tube. See, I didn't really mention the tubes because mine has a double zipper, so I didn't really talk about it. But when you're dealing with Arctic bags or cold weather bags, you're going to have a draft tube that runs along the zipper. And it's so when you get in the bag, the draft tube will cover the zipper, because the zipper is the place where you're most likely to have air, cold air, passing into your bag in the evening. Like I said, I have a double zipper, so there's no tube. And that's so there's an air barrier. There's like an air barrier in between the two zippers, so you don't get the wind blowing through there. And I found that works really well. And another thing that I really like about it is when I'm using my bag in like 40 or 50 degrees, it's a little warm. That's pretty warm temperature for this bag. But if you only zipper up the outside zipper, then air will pass through it, and I've found that it keeps the bag really comfortable. And most of these bags will unzip at the bottom of the zipper too, so you can get a little like a little air hole or pocket to let air in if it's too warm. But I just wanted to mention that because, you know, how big and thick and wide your draft tube makes a big difference. And when you're looking at really nice expensive bags, you're going to see that there's a really thick draft tube running along the zipper. And there's also multiple different kinds of zippers. Like I said, my light bag I like because it opens up like a blanket, but any of the Arctic bags, the zipper is only going to go at the very lowest down to your knees. It's not going to go any lower than that. It won't go all the way to the foot box. And that's because the zipper is the part of the sleeping bag that's usually compromised and that air will come through. This particular one, the zipper goes to just above my knee. Some of these bags, some of these newer bags, you have the zipper going down your chest and it only goes about to your belly button, and that's just so there's less places for cold air to come in. You slide from the top into those sleeping bags, which I really don't like those sleeping bags because when you're wearing your wool underlayer, it's hard to get in and out of them, and I don't know, I feel like they are pretty confining. Plus, if you're in bear country or somewhere where you might need to exit your bag fast, it's kind of harder to get out of your bag when you have one of those with just a short zipper. But those short zipper bags keep people really warm. That's why they're doing them now. So if you like those bags where you load from the top, you know, it might be a good choice from you. But in bear country, you know, they say a sleeping bag is equivalent to a bear taco. So you got to think about that. When I'm in bear country, I don't like this double zipper either. His double zipper means it's even harder to get out of your sleeping bag. And in bear country, sometimes you want to get out of your sleeping bag quick to get to a rifle or something. But I just wanted to quickly mention the different zippers. And of course, all the sleeping bags I have are mummy. The mummy is the shape of it. And that's really the only shape that you're going to use for really nice hiking bags. I mean, all the rectangular bags are usually just like camp bags that you'd have at like a nice log cabin where there's going to be heat and everything. Usually the really low temperature bags will be mummy bags with a hood. And it's important you wear your hood. If it's going to be below 30 degrees, make sure you put that hood on at night. It will make a huge difference in how warm you are. But, long video. Thanks again, everybody on YouTube, for joining me for it. Hope this really opened your eyes and will help you make your decision when getting your sleeping bag, and hopefully this will prevent any cold nights and miserable camping trips. So as always, see you on the next video.